Hello students. So today in this lecture we will be learning about I/O port programming. Okay. So input output pins, ports as well as the circuits. So one main feature of micro 8051 microcontroller is the versatility built into the input and output circuits that connect the 8051 to the outside world. Microprocessor designs must add additional chips to interface with the external circuitry, and this ability is built into the microcontroller. So, to make commercially viable, the 8051 had to incorporate as many functions as were technically and economically feasible. The main constraint that limits numerous functions is the number of pins available to the 8051 circuit designers. And 8051, it is available in 40 pin DIP package, and the success of the design in the marketplace was determined by the flexibility built into the use of these pins. For this reason, 24 of the pins may be used for one or two entirely different functions, so yielding a total configuration of 64 pins. The function a pin performs at any given instant depends first upon what is physically connected to it, and then upon what software commands are used to program the pin. Both these pin factors are under the complete control of the 8051 programmer and the circuit designer, right? The 8051 may be applied simply as a single component with I/O only, or it may be expanded to include additional memory, parallel ports, and serial data communication by using alternate pin assignments. Each port has a D-type output latch for each pin. The special function register, that is SFR, for each port is made up of these 8 latches, which can be addressed at the SFR address for that port. Right? So from the figure you can observe there are two data paths that read the latch or pin data using two entirely separate buffers. The DOP buffer is enabled when the latch data is read, and the lower buffer when the pin state is read. The status of each latch may be read from a latch buffer, while an input buffer is connected directly to each pin so that the pin status may be read independently of the latch state. So different opcodes access the latch or pin states as appropriate. Port operations are determined by the manner in which the 8051 is connected to external circuitry. Programmable port pins have completely different alternate functions. The configuration of the control circuitry between the output latch and the port pin determines the nature of any particular port pin functions. Right? So from the figure you can observe that only port 1 cannot have alternate functions, whereas port 0, port 2 and port 3 can be programmed. And the port pins, they are not capable of driving the loads directly. They require if they require the current in few tens of milliamperes. So directly whatever the load is directly it cannot be connected to the port pins of the 8051 if the operating current requirement is more in tens of milliamperes. So in that case pull-up resistors are required. So coming to your I/O port pins and their functions. So as already said, when dealing with the pin diagram, the 8051 microcontroller has 4 parallel I/O ports, each of 8 bits. So it provides the user 32 I/O lines for connecting the microcontroller to the peripherals, and the 4 ports are port 0, port 1, port 2 and port 3, and upon reset all the ports are configured as the output ports. So if the port pins or your ports, if they are to be configured as the input port, then the user or the programmer must set, or one has to be returned to the port pins. Either the port pins have to be set, or a active high signal means a 1 has to be written into the port pins, and this can be done with the help of instruction like by using set bit. Okay, so for example, you can check it out. Example, move a comma ff, move p0 comma a. So all the bits of in the first instruction, all the bits of accumulator are made as one. Then the content of accumulator is copied into p0. Okay, so a 1 is written into the port pins of your p0. Now the p0 or your port 0 will be acting as the input port. Okay, so port 0 is an 8-bit IO port with dual purposes. Okay, if external memory is used, then these port pins are used to send the lower address byte, lower 8-bit of your address, that is from A0 to A7, as well as the same pins are used to send the 8-bit data. Means the pins of your port 0, either it can use as an IO port, or if external memory is used, then in that case the pins of your port 0, they are used to send the address and the data. Means the same lines, they will act as the address line and the data in the lower 8-bit of your address, and the data lines D0 to D7. Else if external memory is not used, then all the bits of your port, either they are input or they are output. Okay, so port 0 is not provided with the pull-up resistors internally. So for port 0, pull-up resistors of nearly 10 kilo ohm are to be connected externally. Okay, so which is as shown in the figure, right? Then you have port 1. Port 1 occupies a total of 8 pins, that is from pin number 1 to pin number 8. And port 1 is not having any dual application. So port 1, it acts only as the input port or output port. And port 0 does not require any external pull-up resistors, because the pull-up resistors are connected internally. So upon reset, port 1 is configured as the output port. To make it as the input port, or to configure the port 1 as the input port, then the bits must be set high, or a 1 has to be returned to the port bits. Then you have port 2. So port 2 is also an 8-bit parallel port, that is from pin number 21 to pin number 28. It can be used as the input or output port. So port 2 is provided with the internal pull-up resistors. It does not require any external pull-up resistors. Upon reset, port 2 is configured as an output port. If the port is to be used as an input port, then all the port bits must be made high. Means a 1 has to be written into the port pins. Plus port 2 is having the dual role. So port 2 is also associated with the higher order address lines, that is from A8 to A15. In 8051 based systems, port 2 along with the port 0, it used to provide the 16-bit address of the external memory. Since 8051 is capable of accessing 64 kilobytes of external memory, it needs a path for the 16 bits of the address. P0 provides the lower 8 bits, that is A0 to A7, and P2 provides, port 2 provides the higher 8 bits of the address, that is from A8 to A15. Means when 8051 is connected to external memory, then port 2 cannot be used as the IO port. Means if external memory is used, port 2 is dedicated to hold or send the higher 8-bit of your address, that is from A8 to A15, and it cannot be used for IO operations. Then we have port 3. So port 3 is also an 8-bit parallel port with dual functions. The port pins can be used for IO operations as well as for control operations, right? So port 3 does not require any external pull-up resistors, as they are provided internally, similar to the ports of port 2 and port 1. Upon reset, port 3 is configured as output port. If the port is to be used as input port, then all the port bits must be made high, right? Coming to alternate functions of your port 3, P3.0 and P3.1 are used for RxD and TxD. in serial communication, means receive data and transmit data. Bits P3.2 and P3.3 are meant for external interrupts. So as already we've seen the pin diagram, like in case of 8051, it is having two external interrupts, interrupt 0 and interrupt 1. So these two pins P3.2 and P3.3 are meant for external interrupts, interrupt 0 and interrupt 1. P3.4 and P3.5 are used for timer 0 and timer 1, and P3.6 and 3.7 are used to provide the read and write signals for external memories which are connected in 8051 systems. Right. Thank you.